Welcome to...
I know, we were like, who's gonna do it?
Welcome back! Semifinals! Arnie's here!
Hi!
He lost in quarters.
Yes, and I lost to Tyler, who you're going to see here. It's Tyler Deacy versus Ryan Wayne. I played both of these players, and I was talking exactly
Sorry,
about...
I believe it's Tyler Decky.
Is that how you say...
No, it's not.
Okay, I'm like, I've been saying it wrong this whole time. But no,
It's Deacy.
It is. Okay. You can see Ryan on the left here.
Do not touch your TV dial. We did see these two in round 2 on stream.
Did they play each other on
yes,
stream?
on each other on stream.
There you go. Well, I was going to say, it's a kind of some similar strategies. You see Ryan on the left with the Calyrex, Ice, Landorus, Incarnate, Roaring Moon, Ogerpon, Hearthflame, Urshifu, Rapid, and Amoonguss. Tyler on the right with Bastiodon, the classic, Miraidon, Chun-Pao, Iron Hands, Ogerpon, Hearthflame, and Grimmsnarl. Main thing I was going to point out, both of these, Ogerpon is a very, very key cornerstone of completely intended of both these teams. Hearthflame has just been completely dominating the meta right now, and I think it's interesting that essentially we have very similar functions. You have an Ice attacker in Chun-Pao and Calyrex. You have Hearthflame, similar but different teams.
Yeah, and in that last set, I'm starting to remember what was happening in that previous set because I kind of black out every time that once a set ends, I'm like, I don't remember anything that just happened. I do kind of remember. So we do have the Roaring Moon and Landorus lead that we got a couple of times in that set against the Ogerpon, Miraidon. Obviously, the Dazzling Gleam on the Miraidon is really nice in this matchup. That was most of Tyler's damage in the last set.
I was gonna say, I was talking with Tyler, and he said there's not much, but you just Terra Fairy, follow me, detract those possible Sludge Bombs or Earth Powers, and just leaving Sandseer Storm them, and just spam Terra Fairy, Dazzling Gleam. Roaring Moon has to essentially Terra to Flying in order to take it. Sometimes you just want to sacrifice it, or protect it. That's also a good idea.
Or protect, or just go for a Tailwind to just get that going.
What's interesting, though, didn't see a Terra on Tyler's side. It's scary if this is a Sandseer.
Yeah, just a bit. Ooh, it's a Draco.
That's gotta be able to pick up the KO.
Yeah, that is no doubt going to pick up the KO. That's a really... I mean, that's a dicey call, because Tailwind Sandseer blanks that. It destroys that play.
It absolutely does. And that...
And even, like, Acrobatics Sandseer, or Acrobatics Earth Power. Because Acrobatics was, like, probably a range on the Ogerpon in the first game. It did not OHKO. But it looked like it could have.
I feel like this Roaring Moon is fully bulk invested. At least that's how I've played it. I believe, it's a variation of the Tang team that just won San Antonio and got runner-up at San Antonio.
Yeah, won and got second.
So, it's very kind of a public team, but you can make variations on your own EV spreads. There is that Hearthflame mirror, as I was talking about. The little interesting thing, though, is kind of a bit of an interesting damage output. The Roaring Moon is a bit more defense invested, HP invested, Miraidon now at -2, and then both the Hearthflames kind of in a spot where they could get hit, but not knocked out. So I wouldn't be surprised if Tyler just doubles up into the Hearthflame. And yes, we're seeing this, both players staying in, which means, and a Terra Fire, I believe that's Tyler's side. So this is absolutely full power here, and ignoring the -2 from Draco Meteor, ignoring that Roaring Moon isn't the hardest attacker on the field. It's still going to be a fight.
Yeah. And I mean, Roaring Moon doesn't really do anything once you've Terra'd, so you don't have to be that worried about about Acrobatics. See, that doesn't really do a whole lot. Draco Meteor, that's still really good damage.
That is the power of choice.
And I mean, Ivy Cudgel's gonna pick it up.
It's gotta.
And now we're down to the last two.
And
with not a lot of damage down on Ogerpon, and I mean, Miraidon probably has to probably get out of here. I don't know.
I think Mariah has to swap, because
I think you have to, but at the same time, you're threatening Ivy Cudgel on Calyrex right now.
I mean, yeah. If you're Tyler, there's a very clear play, which is just you go for Ivy Cudgel onto Calyrex and swap the Mariah out. To what?
We're into Bastiodon.
I
want to see Bastiodon. I don't even care about the results of the battle. I just want to see Bastiodon.
I think that Chun-Pao's probably your safer bet if you do have Chun-Pao. So that way you can just,
or even Hands.
Hands is very good as well. I think it's a clear play. You just go for that Ivy Cudgel onto the
Calyrex can protect, but that's not a huge deal. I mean, I don't think you certainly don't take 3 Acrobatics on Ogerpon, so...
But it's a tough position for Ryan because you kind of have to play your Terra now. If you don't... Ooh, you could... I think that's the safest play, yeah. But now you're susceptible to...
No switch.
No switch. That is interesting. But I do think if this is done right, then Tyler is going to be put down to their last 2 Pokemon. The Acrobatics, I believe with the Terra, this should KO the Ogre here. And
It's gonna be close. Yeah, it's gonna get it.
So now we're going to see a -4. Still Choice Specs in Hadron Engine.
Yeah.
-4 Draco Meteor onto something here. I
Gotta imagine it's a Raging Bull.
Yeah, you gotta expect that Terra Fairy. Still does around half.
Yeah, it's not bad. I guess that's a bit of damage, but now I think Glacial Lance is going to take out Miraidon now.
Definitely. I think, depending on what these last 2, if it is Hands and Chien-Pao, Tyler's in a very good position. If it is Grimmsnarl, Chien-Pao, still a good position.
What's the beef with Bastiodon? What is the beef with Bastiodon?
There's Grim, and there's Chien-Pao, yeah.
No, I wanted to see that.
I think here, it's now just this just becomes who do you para. I think, honestly, I think you Sucker Punch the Roaring Moon and para the Calyrex here. Or you could go for Throat Chop and para the Moon, but you really gotta just ensure that the POW is able to get 2 hits off. Enough to where it can go for Throat Chop, Sucker. Should KO the Calyrex in that regard. And I think you could... It's tough. I think that, or you could just protect the Chien-Pao, go for Spirit Break into the Roaring Moon, then Sucker Punch it and para the Calyrex, or something along the lines of that, just to basically ensure that there's Thunder Wave. You just gotta make sure that Chien-Pao has enough to hit this Calyrex twice.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if you just go for the Icicle Crash right into there, and then make sure that you don't get hit multiple times.
Yeah.
That feels pretty good. We'll see how much the Calyrex does here, because I think that'll basically decide this game, is whether Calyrex is able to get particularly close to a knockout on either of these 2.
Oh, 1-hit KO on Grimmsnarl.
1-hit KO on Grimmsnarl is going to change things quite a bit, because now it is going to come down to Throat Chop.
And I do not
KOing.
believe that was, if I'm not mistaken, that was not a crit. So
yeah, that was not a crit.
Yeah.
That was just straight up. And Throat Chop, not enough. And that means Glacial Lance will be enough, and Ryan will pick up game number 1.
I think here, if you're Tyler, you just realize, you know what? Reflect was the play. Because I think you could have been...
I was thinking that as well, where it's like Reflect might have needed to come out at some point, but at the same time, I would have thought that Grimmsnarl would have taken one of them.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Like, I would have thought Grimmsnarl would have taken... Because you have to get...
But even,
Roaring Moon out of the way.
Even then, I think if Sucker Punch would have been able to remove the Moon at half, it was roughly half.
Yeah, it would have been interesting.
And then
it would have been close.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it makes sure that you don't get messed up by some nonsense. Although Protecty would have gotten messed up by, and Tailwind doesn't really matter. So
I think
don't know.
it's one of those like hindsight matches where in the moment you absolutely played it right, but then in hindsight it's like, this one would have been better.
Well, and I wonder how many turns back you wanted to do something else, knowing that Grimmsnarl, one play from Grimmsnarl.
One thing I really do like about Ryan's team, and this is just it's the tank team, the Roaring Moon Landorus combo, and then the Hearthflame Calyrex combo is so hard to beat. You can make every single call correct. That is actually what happened when I played Ryan, was made every single call right, knocked out those 2, and then the last 2, if you can just chip enough, it's enough for the Landorus and the Roaring Moon to be able to just kind of sweep the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Or vice versa, if you leave with Landorus Roaring Moon and you just chip enough, it's enough, like, you can 2v4 pretty easily with the team. And I think that the strategy, it was a different team, but Zay, I hope I said that right, who had the Dondozo and Tinglu team with Calyrex Shadow. Very similar strategy, and you want to chip as much as you can before sweeping with your back Mons. Whether that's Landorus or Calyrex, it depends, but it's the same strategy.
Yep, and we're going to see a bit of a switch up. It's going to be that same Roaring Moon Landorus lead, but on the other end, Tyler's got the Grimmsnarl, Miraidon. That's what they found the most success with against Ryan in their first set, so I'm not surprised we're seeing it now.
I think this is a very wise play, because you get a free Draco Meteor into that Landorus slot no matter what, and you force the Roaring Moon to tear to flying, or get Spirit Broken. I don't think the Roaring Moon can really do anything too crazy. The only thing I would say that it's a bit annoying is you can knock off the choice specs from Miraidon, but that, I think it's, thanks to Hadron Engine, still going to be enough to either half the Calyrex, knock out the Landorus, or get the Ogerpon down into the red. So
I mean, and you can also try to just go for the Terraquary Dazzling Gleam stuff here.
That's also very solid.
But at the same time, you've got to be a little worried about Sludge Bomb because of that, and this is a situation where you're like, okay, Grimmsnarl is a little taxed on what it needs to do here, because it kind of wants to pair a Roaring Moon if it Terras, and it kind of wants to Light Screen to block a lot of Landorus' damage, and it kind of wants to Reflect to block Roaring Moon's damage. We'll see the Roaring Moon Terra here, so it can get paralyzed.
I think at this point, you gotta click Light Screen. Oh, we're gonna see that Terra. I believe that's Fairy.
I think it's gotta be.
You gotta go. I think you just gotta go.
And I think Ryan made a good play against this. We'll see if it actually works out based on whatever Tyler does here, but I think Ryan made basically the ideal play against it.
There's that Light Screen.
Yeah, we will see the Light Screen. We'll just see how much does Sludge Bomb do here.
I feel like knockoff here, actually, it does give Miraidon a bit more flexibility. Does make sure it doesn't deal a ton of damage, but
yeah, it is actually kind of annoying because now, you do have to potentially get Electro Drifted, but you're also just not doing that much damage. I mean, that doesn't two-shot either of them, and Sludge Bomb does a lot of damage.
I think you gotta pair the Roaring Moon here, but then what? What do you do? Do you Dazzling Gleam again to make sure that goes down? Because that was a crit. Do you go for Electro Drift into the Roaring Moon? Do you go
Volt Switch out of there?
I think Volt Switch
on Roaring Moon.
Yeah,
because you know that you're not. Ooh, and that's the difficulty with that play. That's why you don't. That's why you don't listen to me.
Another way of going after the Roaring Moon. I think that was solid, but was that predicted? Did Tyler go for it? Yeah, Draco Meteor to Landorus.
That's why you don't listen to me.
That was good. I think it also allows the Miraidon now to have a bit more flexibility in the field.
Yeah.
You can Volt Switch out and now not Hard Switch, which is very good. Allows you to deal a little bit of chip damage, especially into either one of these. Ogerpon or Roaring Moon, doesn't really matter. I think the hard part, though, now, if you're Ryan, Thunder Wave is in play and can hit all of your remaining Pokemon. That is not good. And
and Grimmsnarl hasn't taken any damage yet, and you don't have a lot of damage to deal against it, so it's kind of an awkward spot. And it can click Reflect right now.
No, that's what I was going to say. I think Reflect is kind of huge, and you can Volt Switch out on the Roaring Moon slots for free, essentially.
So you don't even really... I don't think Thunder Wave is as valuable as Reflect is right now.
I think that what you got to do here, like I said, Reflect.
It depends. There's a lot of things that you get to do when you're in a situation like this.
I think you gotta Volt Switch out on the Roaring Moon, get rid of it, and then bring out even one of your two actually are pretty good. Assuming it's Chen Pao and
yeah, I mean the only problem here is that if you're going to Volt Switch out on the Roaring Moon, you're going to need to Thunder Wave the Roaring Moon first, and that's going to be kind of awkward.
That is true.
Calyrex protects, so actually it's not awkward at all, and you're totally fine.
Yeah.
Because you can Thunder Wave the Roaring Moon. Get that done. Yeah, and I wonder if Ryan was kind of running low on time for that pick, because that felt like kind of an awkward choice, because, that... Just get the Volt Switch out of there, take out the Roaring Moon, reset the Miraidon special attack stat that was dropped from the Draco.
And at this point, you're having fun. I think...
Because the problem, I mean, it would have been a little bit concerning if, like, a Glacial Lance came out there, because we saw the Glacial Lance dices Grimmsnarl.
It was that +1 though, which is one.
Oh, that's true.
So that could have helped.
But even still, it would have done a pretty nice amount of damage, and Ogerpon would have been in here to follow me away a Thunder Wave or anything from the Grimmsnarl.
Now I will say it's not over though. It's not Ogerpon. Yeah. Because there is something that we haven't seen yet.
And then you said it first.
I think Trick Room is a very solid play on Calyrex. I think, honestly, what you should do if you're Ryan is go for the Follow Me Trick Room and then start launch it, Follow Me Ivy Cudgels. Assuming that the last two is Chen Pao and Miraidon, good chance you're going to be able to two-shot the Ogerpon before it can hit you with an Ivy Cudgel, and then you basically got a one-on-one Chen Pao, which we saw was a success. So I think right now you got the only thing there, you got to rely on Ogerpon not getting fully parried. But again, that would necessarily kind of help you if you are paralyzed, because it does half your speed and the Trick Room's in play. So I think the right play here, maybe you could go for a Ivy Cudgel first, but... Oh? Yeah, okay, so you have to cook Reflect. But I think maybe you can go for the Ivy Cudgel first, just to chip the opposing Ogre Pawn. Because that's going to do a lot of damage.
No follow me.
Okay,
And Calyrex is going to take a bunch of damage. But I think that's basically fine. It's just an awkward spot for Ryan to be in this game. Because you need that Trick Room up, and you need as much damage as possible. Like, you know that you're not getting Grimmsnarl down very quickly.
I think, follow me.
I don't know what you're gonna do. I mean, you know that you take a couple hits from this team right now, and they don't have any spread moves. So Calyrex is gonna linger a little bit, but you kind of just have to click Glacial Lance and pray.
Yeah. You could go High Horse to try and remove the Grim for.
I mean, you're gonna run out of Trick Room turns pretty quickly.
The thing is,
bashing your head against Reflect.
Yeah, that's difficult. But I think if you're able to get the boosts in time, you could position yourself for, again, if you're Ryan, your goal right now is to just be one-on-one with Chen Pao at the very end here.
Yeah, there's the Thunder Wave.
It's a little bit of a benefit for the speed boost, but now it's like you're traded off.
Big deal, just because I think that the speed boost... Ooh, critical hit does matter. But I don't think the high horsepower is necessarily the right call. There is the Ivy Cudgel. Brain disappears, not a big deal. I mean...
You gotta take a risk, I think, and go Ivy Cudgel into the Ogre Pawn and Glacial Lance.
Yeah, I think you just have to go Ivy Cudgel, Glacial Lance, and that gets you back into this game if that does work, but...
It could Ivy Cudgel for starters, and then protect the Calyrex, and then Glacial Lance, just...
Yeah, and the Follow Me doesn't go through. I mean, Glacial Lance is still like a Giga Crit or something. Like, I don't know what... You need a lot of damage off Glacial Lance here, and that's the problem, is I think 2 Glacial Lances would have gotten the range.
Let's see here.
Of where, like, a crit would have mattered.
Oh,
like, yeah, like 2
absolutely.
Glacial Lances and then the crit. Like, I don't know. It was weird that it was the high horsepower the last turn.
Yeah, I actually expected that to go a lot less through the Reflect, but that's very good information because, yeah, you're going to lose the Calyrex here, but that's good information that you essentially get the opposing Ogre Pawn to red with a normal Glacial Lance, double target. Very useful information there, and I think right now I would also just play this game alpha as Ryan and be like, okay, let's try an information farm here, see how much damage I can do. I mean, I don't think it's gonna work out, but the one thing I can think of is you Spiky Shield, the Chen Pao gets hit. Yeah, I don't think there's a way here, but I'm still information farm. No,
but there's simply not enough turns.
I would be curious, actually, how much Ivy Cudgel does onto the Ogre Pawn, opposing Ogre Pawn.
Yeah, it's like the most meaningful thing. And I mean, it means you have to attack this turn, I think. It's like one more of Trick Room after this, maybe?
Yeah.
But... I don't know, we're pretty much getting to the end of this. And keep in mind, Brian might already know whatever calc that is, just because they did play earlier.
Like Spiky Shield here. I mean, again, hey, go for it. Sucker Punch was smart there. Don't want to break your Focus Sash. And...
Well, and no reason to break your Focus Sash. It's not like you're going to do a whole lot more damage with not Sucker Punch than with Sucker Punch.
Or you could just click Icicle Crash and kind of win it.
Tyler has this game won. Looking forward to the next game. I mean, it was definitely pretty important at the beginning, and that's the thing we were kind of talking about in the previous set, is that Landorus is really important to this matchup because Landorus matches up really, really well against, like, everything on Tyler's team.
Yeah.
The problem is that because it matches up so well on everything on that team, it becomes really important, and losing it means that you come pretty close to just losing the game.
I think, honestly, what Ryan should do for the next game is lead Ogre Pawn and Calyrex. I think you need to end with Landorus. Because that is the key here. If you're able to just chip, and like looking at Tyler's side, unless the Bastiodon comes out, Icicle Crash, Glacial Lance is going to do a good chunk onto every single Pokemon. Grim, Hands, Pow, doesn't matter. It's going to chip it enough to where you can then start going with Roaring Moon, Acrobatics, what you need to just chip off, and then Sandsear for the win. The one downside, and the thing that would be the hardest thing with that, is it's Sandsear's Storm.
Yeah.
You do not want to rely on that hitting. So if you could play a little more consistently, great. But I do think Landorus is the way to end this match rather than begin it. Also, wouldn't be surprised if you do lead maybe Ogerpon and Roaring Moon, Calyrex and Roaring Moon.
Well, and even on top of that, there are a lot of things that we saw Calyrex just deal with. Like, we saw Calyrex just dump Miraidon. Like, we know it can do that. And saving it for the end, I don't think it's not, like, Calyrex Hearth Flame at the start of battle, I mean, it means that you can get a Trick Room up if you want.
I feel
There's
like
not a ton stopping you.
It's not bad to do that. But I think more importantly is just attacking. I think honestly, like, if you say they got Miraidon, well, if it's Miraidon and Grimmsnarl, like...
Well, I just think that it's like you get a lot of attacks down. The big thing.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of a switch up. We'll get to it when we get to it in the battle.
I do think if you are Tyler, you gotta take that into account, though, and swap up your Pokemon. Because Mirai, Chenpao, Hearthflame, and Grimm, I think one of those can swap out for
Bastiodon.
For Bastiodon. Just so you just ensure the wide guard helps you there. Or you can go in Iron Hands. I think Bastiodon's a bit better, though.
Yeah, Chenpao, Miraidon as the starters here. And that's the thing, Tyler's been switching up their leads a couple of times. This is the third different lead duo in the third different game, and I mean, I like how this matches up.
I think here...
And we see here that, like, no ground types on the field right now, nothing that can become a ground type or anything. There is a ground move on the field, so Miraidon might have to Terra, but it doesn't have to be too worried about clicking Electro Drift. Maybe it will get stuffed by a Lando switch in, but you can just click your moves right now. Maybe you get Ogerpon out of the way. I think that's the problem with going for this turn 1 Trick Room, is that if Ogerpon gets dumped when it goes for its Follow Me turn, yes, you get Trick Room up, but then it gets a little, but at what cost? It gets a little more awkward. And I think just going as offensive as possible is not a terrible idea for that. It's going to be the Volt Switch. Ogerpon takes the hit, so you get the Follow Me next turn. That's really big.
That's huge, because now you can ignore Sucker Punch, you can start going for Glacials. The only thing, Grimmsnarl doesn't even matter. I think Reflect is obviously going to come out, so you could essentially double attack into the Chenpao, remove it right away with the go for Ivy Cudgel first, and then finish it off with the Glacial Lance, basically ignoring Reflect. I think if you're Tyler, you got to go for the Thunder Wave on the Calyrex and just try and neutralize your damage there.
I think you do, and the Chenpao's just going to switch out here, but I think that Ryan kind of smells blood and is going for some of the hard-hitting moves here.
I think if you go for Ivy Cudgel and Glacial Lance... Oh, we're going to see Terra. That's going to be...
I think the Terra, the Cali Terra.
Yeah, it's the
Terra.
Which is, I'd say, wise.
No reason not to at this point.
It's very wise, too, because if you can remove these two from the field, it means you now have that mind games with the Miraidon where it can only lock into... If it locks into Electro Drift, it doesn't hit Lando. If it locks into Draco Meteor, it can't hit Cali.
There's the Glacial Lance. Does a pretty solid amount, even against the Reflect. Ivy Cudgel doesn't pick up the Ogerpon, but I mean, no big downside. You can Follow Me Glacial Lance.
Yep. This is a very...
You're not going to get parried.
No, this is a very good spot for Ryan here. The Spiky Shield's kind of obvious, but unless Spirit Break comes out here, which is possible,
it might have to Spirit Break. I mean, that's the only damage that could come out this turn.
Literally. And you need to kind of remove that Follow Me. There it is.
I like that play.
It was smart.
It was smart. At the same time, you're also taking a bit more damage on that Grimmsnarl. Although at the same time, you're also stalling out turns of Trick Room.
Yeah. It's pretty solid. I think that was the play needed to be made. Looking at the two in play, we're seeing Urshifu. Oh, you gotta bring in the Urshifu, right? You gotta keep your Landorus out. Yeah, you have to bring out the Urshifu. And now, one thing I will say something. This Urshifu is slow.
Yeah.
So I think you just bring it up.
I guess the problem here with Landorus is that you get Spirit Breaked. That's the only real thing.
I mean, I can see why you didn't break, but I think either way, like...
Because I don't hate it because it means that your Urshifu won't get paralyzed, but...
I just feel like if the last
Because that's a serious loss condition, but at the same time, I mean, your Calyrex can get paralyzed right now, and that might be the higher priority.
I would think it's a higher priority, because if you miss a Glacial Lance, that's bad. That's very bad.
Yeah, that's game changing.
Especially with the Terrifier, yeah.
This could be close. I'm curious. It could be close.
Through the Reflect, that neutral, I think it lives it. I think it takes it.
It's going to be pretty close. I think it does take it. It's going to be pretty close. And Grimmsnarl's going to drop, assuming that it gets to attack anyways. Although, at the same time, now we know that Landorus was kind of important because it's going to... Nope, there's the Para. Oh!
That's why I was thinking Urshifu, because you got...
Okay, we are going to get the Earth Power. It's not the Sandseer. If it was Sandseer, it could have picked up both of them.
But it's also Sandseer's store.
Yeah, it would have missed one of them. We have not seen one double hit on stream today.
If this is Chen Pao for Tyler...
Have we seen a Bleak Wind double hit on stream? We might have earlier. We might have in the Abby set, but I wasn't paying attention. It is a Chen Pao now.
This is very, very, very good for Tyler. I think you gotta go for the obvious play here, which is switch into the Urshifu. Switch the Landorus out into
you'd have one more Trick Room turn. You could protect your Landorus right now.
But then the Chen Pao's gonna outspeed you on the next turn and just Icicle Crash you out. So I think you gotta...
Yeah, you could switch out next turn once you're a little bit more comfortable. I kind of prefer that play just because you want your Urshifu to come in a little bit better of a situation, but I don't know.
I feel like the switch into Urshifu here is just a little
Because even
bit
still,
separate.
the Glacial Lance is still going to be nice here.
It's...
Because you'll also get Grimmsnarl out of the way, because now Grimmsnarl, if it wants, can go for a Thunder Wave into that slot. We're going to get the Chen Pao Protect.
Yeah,
the Chen Protect. It's the last turn to Trick Room, so no reason not to. And it's going to be the Light Screen, which I guess that's pretty smart. No reason not to.
I think that's really good. I think here
we are going to get the Glacial Lance. It is going to be +1 on the Calyrex, of course, up against the Reflect. I think that makes it neutral. Close. I'm learning how Pokemon works.
I think this is a very, very good position for Tyler now. You put yourself in a spot where you can just Electro Drift into... But I think, honestly, just the Electro Drift in general is the right play here. Sure, Landorus is there, but you win the one-on-one with it. And if you can...
Yeah, there's actually not a lot of thing you can do. I guess it's just that Calyrex does get to keep clicking Glacial Lance.
Yeah, but if I'm not
change. Or Calyrex could go for the Trick Room here. I think that might actually be the better the win condition.
I think that's much better.
I think you have to, yeah. Because I think that then you do outspeed... Landorus also outspeeds both of these two under Trick Room.
But that's why you gotta double up in the Cali slot, I think. Kind of have to.
But then Urshifu gets to take out Chen Pao by itself.
I don't think it does. Well, with Mystic Water, it should.
Yeah, it's Surging Strikes, Mystic Water. I think it's gotta.
So,
I think this is actually kind of tough for Tyler because... this could be kind of dangerous.
Let's see here. Icicle Crash.
Icicle Crash.
Oh, miss on Cali.
Electro Drift. We'll see if this is enough.
It was the right play.
I think that was the right play, and it's not enough. But it's paralyzed! But it's paralyzed! And the Urshifu didn't go for an attack.
If the Urshifu had Surging Strikes, may have been different.
If Urshifu had Surging Strikes the Chen Pao, that might have been it, but in this case, it's not. Both those Pokemon are probably going to drop now because the Chen Pao can just go for any move into Calyrex, and Electro Drift can go into the Urshifu, and that'll be it.
Yeah.
What a turn with a missed Icicle Crash into the Para. We keep getting these on stream.
Yeah.
these whack RNG turns that keep going back and forth. There's the Icicle Crash. I would not have risked it a second time.
I wouldn't have either. maybe Tower was expecting the swap into Landorus, but I don't know.
I don't know. Electro Drift, that is certainly going to get rid of one very funny bear.
Okay.
There he goes.
It's not over. It's not over.
It's pretty over.
We've seen Icicle Crash this once.
Icicle Crash goodness. I'll give you that.
It could miss again. Oh, is that a I don't think it's a forfeit yet.
No, we're still in this battle. Icicle Crash could miss.
Double Icicle Crash.
Troy is not even accepting the possibility of an Icicle Crash miss.
I've seen crazier things happen. I have seen crazier things happen.
There's the Protect. Oh yeah, you need to dodge 2 Icicle Crashes.
All you gotta do is dodge 2 Icicle Crashes.
All you gotta do is dodge 2 Icicle Crashes. Because yeah, Miraidon's just locked into Electro Drift at this point, so he can't do anything against Lando.
It's a one-on-one.
It's just Chen Pao versus Lando right now.
Yeah, you literally just have to click a move. Throat chop.
That's smart.
Okay, there's the crit.
That was smart.
Okay, yeah, actually that does end it because of the crit. Would it have two-shot without the crit?
Oh no.
I don't know if it would have. That's actually insane.
So here's what you gotta do now. You gotta basically play the mind games of Sucker Punch, and it's just.
I mean, it's just gonna be throat chop. It's just gonna be throat chop.
Oh yeah, you're faster. It doesn't matter.
Chenpao's just faster than Lander. It's just gonna be throat chop. I want to see Icicle Crash. Do it for the fans, Ty.
Tyler. In before Chenpao's like, I don't want to hit throat chop either. So there it is.
Yeah, there it is.
Tyler Deacy going to the top 2. Bastiodon Bros continue their streak. Nicely done, Tyler.
Yeah,
they just nailed it.
Back in finals.
I think this is the set again of 2 of 3 challenges where Bastiodon has been in the finals, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's been a lot of Bastiodons that we've had here.
Oh yeah, I think there's 3 today of the 17 players.
Yeah.
So, and one of them is right here in finals. You're gonna see Tyler back here very soon, and I believe it is Haley and Michael playing still. So one of them will be joining Tyler in the finals. So stick around for that. And congratulations to Ryan. A top 4 finish is amazing. Still, I believe that is, no, it's like 12 points for the challenge. Nicely done. So stick around. We'll be back for finals in just a moment.